In five, four, three, two, one.
Hello, Launch family. Hello, I am so excited to be here with you back on Facebook Live for another month. This is October 2021, and there have been so many celebrations, acknowledgments, opportunity to be inclusive at launch this month. So one is Indigenous Peoples Day was last Monday, and then the last day of Latinx Heritage Month was on last Friday. So we started off the month with some really nice celebrations, and our children were able to learn quite a bit about our Native American people as well as our Latinx community. And then this month of October has also been Disability Awareness Month. And that is very important and relevant for our staff and our children, our families at launch, because we work with the school district and making sure that children who are accessing special education services are also able to access our services and be in an inclusive environment, despite the abilities that may be limiting for them. And so this month, I'm excited to have Ruth Diaz join us, because Ruth joined us in June of this year as our Director of Early Learning. And Ruth has over 10 years of experience working directly with children and accessing special education services in school districts, particularly Seattle Public Schools, which is where we provide our services. And there's been a range of that service from developmental preschool through elementary school. And I think I heard you say you had even a stint in middle school for a little bit. But I'm going to allow you to share, share more about your experience, what has drawn you to launch, and how are you engaging with our children, our families, our staff.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Like you had mentioned, my background is largely in special education. I have my Master's of Arts in Teaching from the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, which is my hometown. So I started my teaching experience there, which was where the middle school happened. I substitute taught in a lot of different settings. So general education, special education inclusion classes, self-contained classes, all the way from preschool through high school. And just sort of fell in love with early childhood specifically in terms of providing services to little ones. So I had the opportunity in Seattle to work with preschool through second grade in special education at a number of different schools. And, as I sort of started exploring the next steps in my career, I was really excited to find an opportunity at launch to serve kind of a broader range of kids, right? Where, some of our kids are experiencing developmental delays or various challenges, and some of our kids are developing at a more typical level. But I've always said as a special ed teacher that in an ideal world, every child would have individualized and personalized services. So bringing that sort of special ed perspective into a general ed classroom, I think has certainly facilitated a lot of really interesting conversations with our teams at launch.
Right. I have been in agreement with you around that. The opportunity for all kids to have an individualized learning plan, it would definitely help with their academic success and close the learning gaps and experiences that really impact children in K through 12, actually birth through 12, right? And so tell us a little bit about your partnerships with like the city and the work that we're doing with the Seattle preschool programs. Since you've been at launch, how have you begun engaging in that partnership, and where do you see the benefits of that partnership?
Yeah, so I it's been interesting for me to kind of interface with the city in the Seattle preschool program work, because I saw it from the other side as an educator, where I worked with kids who were dually enrolled in SPP programming and in my classroom. So getting to see kind of the back end of it has been really interesting. I think that the push on the state level and then this facilitation on the city level to provide more universal preschool experiences is so important. I would say now more than ever, as we're sort of emerging out of quarantine and out of, not out of COVID fully yet, but as, kids are starting to be able to gain those experiences again, they are emergent experiences for our kids in a way that they weren't before COVID, where these may be some of the first opportunities kids have to really learn how to be a part of a larger community and be, sharing and negotiating with their peers. So I think that it's really exciting to be part of the Seattle preschool program in that way, in delivering those experiences and those opportunities to kids, as well as being part of that larger preschool community, which enables our teachers to have access to greater professional development opportunities, which enables a lot of different layers of support. We have coaches through the city that work with our preschool teachers specifically. We work with early achievers to make sure that our classroom environments are highly conducive to student learning and to a sense of safety and community. We have mental health services that we can access through SPP for our kids who may be experiencing hardships, or maybe who just need a little bit of extra skill building in the classroom to really meet their potential. And I think there's also such a benefit to having that larger community of preschool practitioners, where we can sort of come together, problem solve, talk about larger issues that are maybe, barriers to more kids accessing preschool, or barriers to our teachers, getting greater benefits in their professional development, and just working sort of as a system within the city to provide the greatest benefit to our kids and our staff.
Yes, most definitely. I mean, a lot of great resources come out of that partnership with the city, as well as with the school district as well. And so one of those resources, or a couple of those resources, are the curriculum that we have for our learning and engagement practices with our youth, our children, and Teaching Strategies Gold is an assessment tool that we've been able to access that has given us some insight into how the children are doing. So would you share a little bit of what you've been able to see about our children's developmental skill building?
Yeah, absolutely. So TSG is a really interesting assessment system because it's very comprehensive. So we're able to collect data and track growth and trends in a wide variety of developmental areas. So we're looking at cognitive development, specifically looking at literacy and mathematics development, as well as social development and physical development in terms of fine and gross motor skills. So it really is a very broad view of a child's developmental progress. And it has been stunning for me coming in these last few months to see the data that we're getting out of our preschool classrooms, where 100% of our students meet or exceed expectations in almost all of those areas. And in the areas where we didn't achieve 100%, we were still seeing double-digit growth in the percentage of students who went from not meeting expectations to meeting expectations. And
That's
also with TSG, yeah, it's incredible. I was pretty blown away, coming into the program. And it's also important to note that with TSG, meeting expectations is a moving target for teachers in a certain manner of speaking, because if you start the year and a kid is 3, you're looking at a certain set of expectations. If they're 4 by the end of the year, then getting them to meet expectations is an enormous amount of growth. So the work that our teams have been putting into ensuring that our students are making progress and are meeting those milestones to ensure kindergarten readiness has been titanic.
Wow. Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, that's why we're here. We're doing this work. And so kind of continuing on that vein, you had the opportunity to go out to the sites and see directly how the children are doing, as well as how the staff are engaging with our children. And so I know you've seen some just wonderful practices of the staff with our kids, maybe some experiences that you might want to highlight about the kids that you've been able to observe.
Yeah, my favorite part of my job is getting to go out and see the kids and watch the teachers interact with the students, and just kind of, get to experience what it is that we are providing as a service to these families and to these children. And I have just been across the board so impressed with especially the interactions that I've seen between teachers and students. There's so much gentleness and so much kindness, and at the same time, such high expectations for the students. There's not a sense of, I love you and I care about you, so I'm not going to make you do hard things. There's a sense of, I love you and I care about you, so I expect you to do great things.
Yeah.
And one thing that, kind of tying this back to my background in working with kids with exceptional needs, one thing that I've noticed across Launch in our preschool programming is a sense of the community extending and really enveloping our kids who have exceptional needs and who may have learning differences or different modes of learning. It can sometimes be the experience of kids with exceptional needs that they feel that their presence is kind of tolerated in classrooms. And there can often be a sort of sense of othering of them where, well, they're the special ed teacher's responsibility. And I know that in larger classrooms, it can be difficult sometimes to manage all of the different, spaces that children sort of arrive in. But what I've seen at Launch is just a sense of, these are all our kids. These are all kids who belong to our community. And it's not a hardship to teach them. It's a challenge to unravel, and there's a sense of, there's a sense of excitement when a kiddo reaches a new milestone that, maybe is not what the age expectation is, but it's a big deal for that kid, that there's a sense of real accomplishments, and there's a celebration that happens in the classroom when kids are meeting their own personal goals. And those goals look different for every kid, and that's okay. And the teachers at Launch have just been so welcoming of kids with different abilities. And as, someone coming from special ed, it's not something you see everywhere. And it was really, it really sort of like warmed my heart to see it when I got here, because that's an attitude that has to just be part of the culture.
Right. Right. Well, we are very fortunate to have you join Launch and be a part of our leadership team, and to be able to go around to our school spaces and engage, build relationships with the children and with our staff, and hopefully families in the future as we continue to progress out of a pandemic, but also, taking the lead in our partnerships with the city and the school district around our service to the youngest kids that are also furthest away from educational justice in our communities. So really appreciate you, and possibly we'll have you back once you've been here a little bit longer. You can tell us, how it's been over a span of time.
I'll provide updates.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much, Ruth. And I will see our Launch family back here on Facebook Live next month in November. Thank you. Bye.